Finding problems? That's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. Now on Talking Solutions, it's been a while, Danielle Dreitzler, since you were here with the Rape Crisis Center.
Yes, but we're glad to be back. With Sexual Assault Awareness Month, the theme for this year is engaging new voices. And so for us right now, it really is about helping show everyone that they have a role to play in ending sexual violence or reaching out to victims to support them. And there's literally something that every single person can do to have an impact in this arena. And that's what we want to emphasize.
There's got to be a tremendous stigma attached to the idea of rape and people who have experienced it, and we are trying to deal with it.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's really about helping everyone realize how much we do accept sexual violence and normalize it. So a lot of what we're always trying to do is get people in a different mindset. The analogy that we like to use is there was a time in our society where somebody could make an off-color racial or ethnic joke in a group of people and it would be accepted and nobody would say anything about it. And you'd like to think that at this point in our society and in our culture, something like that isn't accepted. Same thing with jokes about violence or rape or anything that minimizes the seriousness and the impact of the issue. That's really where we're trying to get people to, where no one would think about sharing a video of a rape or somebody being harassed or something like that on social media, for example, that rather than sharing it, they would call the person out for having done it or thinking that it's funny or thinking that it is something that is okay to proliferate. That's one of our biggest messages. You know, even if it's a friend or somebody that you know, call them out on it. Let them know, hey, I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's funny. It can be an act as simple as that can help people look at the issue in a different way. And with small changes over time, we will make an impact. That's how attitudes change.
And there's so many areas where it's important for us to approach it differently. And I would put bullying also in that same category.
A lot of bullying actually has sexual overtones to it, where it does really fall under sexual harassment. You know, calling out to somebody on the street that you don't know, talking about what they're wearing or their body or anything like that. We really talk about that as kind of a gateway behavior to other types of sexual violence, because if you do that and there's no negative consequence, then why aren't you going to try next time to touch someone and see what happens and then continue sort of along that path? And so bullying is absolutely tied to it. Street harassment is absolutely tied to it. There's a continuum of violence that, again, it can be stepping in early in a young person's life to say, hey, let's not do that. This is how we show respect for other people. That can put them in a different mindset where they don't go on to abuse someone.
We need to be very vocal and very out front from the beginning with kids. Kids need to grow up knowing that kind of behavior is not tolerated.
Absolutely. Both if they're demonstrating that type of behavior towards others, but also if they're allowing others to direct that type of behavior to them. It can be simple things, letting a child know, you know, when grandma and grandpa come over to visit, if you don't want to give them a hug and kiss, you don't have to give them a hug and kiss. Your body is yours. What you choose to do with it is your decision. And as parents or as guardians, we will back you up on that. And that's definitely a shift in our culture. It's not how things have always been done, but it becomes very hard to explain to a child why, well, if you have to listen to mom and dad about how you use your body or how other people are allowed to access your body, then how do you protect them from another adult who's trusted from saying, oh no, this is okay. This is okay to do because I'm your uncle or I'm your aunt and you should respect what I say. You should do what I say. So again, it's those small changes in our culture and how we raise kids and how we talk about these issues, and also talking about them from a very young age in a very comfortable way, using the appropriate names for body parts, you know, naming them, making that a natural, normal part of growing up, just like you play the game, where's your nose? Where's your ears? Where's your knees? You can introduce appropriate names for body parts to young children in a way that doesn't carry any shame or embarrassment. And just simple things like that can really protect them from being abused, because if they have a vocabulary to talk about, hey, in our family, we don't touch that part, That's my private area. I get to decide if anybody touches that, and I say no. That is so empowering to kids, and it's also a huge disincentive to abusers when they know kids have had these conversations with their parents. They know the names of body parts. They could go tell mom or dad, hey, this person asked me to touch their, particular part, which I don't think I can say on the air, but
teaching kids about boundaries, both for themselves and for others, that's really important. Does the Rape Crisis Center ever get involved in that kind of early education?
We absolutely do. We have our Enough Abuse campaign, which is targeted to training adults on how to protect children from child sexual abuse, to just help them understand some of the behaviors and signs that predators will engage in, and also how they can have some of those early conversations with children, how to address sexual behaviors of children in a healthy way, again, that doesn't shame or embarrass them, but does address if kids are exhibiting problematic behaviors either towards other children or can't seem to be in a healthy relationship as a teen, in a dating relationship or something like that. So the Enough Abuse campaign is something we offer. It's free. We bring it to schools, churches, community centers, really any place that we're invited. We also have several programs that we do bring into the school district. Those are available at every grade level pretty much. So it can be a matter of just ask your child's school, hey, this is important to me. I think our school should have this. I think our kids should have this type of education. That can be a huge step and, is really helpful in making sure that kids get this type of education at every level. So yeah, we offer a wide variety of prevention and education programs.
With us in studio today is Danielle Dreitzler, the Executive Director of the Rape Crisis Center. I would hope one of the goals of early education would be that these kids would be well schooled and understand their rights and boundaries and how others can't infringe and can't invade. And hopefully it would lead to less problems.
Absolutely. In fact, the CAP program, the Child Assault Prevention Program that we do with elementary school age kids, that's exactly the point of the program. It's to introduce kids to the fundamental concept of you have rights. And we educate them that they have the right to be safe, strong, and free. And what does that look like? And if somebody is taking away those rights, what can you do? When is it something where you can enlist help from a friend that's your age to help you combat maybe a bully or somebody who's giving you a hard time on the way to school or something like that? And when are problems so big that they need an adult to step in and help? And the difference between being a tattletale and getting an adult's help in serious situations where you need help. It's introduced in a very basic way that, young children can understand. It's very empowering. It helps them identify trusted adults in their lives, people that they might not think about. Unfortunately, a lot of kids in our community don't have support and resources at home. So they may look to a teacher or a counselor at school or the principal at their school, or maybe the crossing guard is somebody that they can trust. It's helping kids think about people in their world that they do feel they can trust and that they could go to if they really had a problem.
This kind of education really shines a light on what is okay and what isn't okay. And it seems, my perception is, when that kind of activity is allowed to exist in darkness without education, that's when stories end up coming to light down the road about something that happened, something that is ongoing. You mentioned a moment ago about how parents can also instruct their kids that, look, if grandma and grandpa are coming over and you don't want to get kissed and hugged on, it's okay. You have some right. Doesn't have to be a tense standoff situation. It doesn't have to be anything difficult, but your uncle or whomever saying this is okay. No, it's when you don't educate that there can be problems in that area.
Absolutely. And identifying children that are more vulnerable. Unfortunately, even with the school district this year, we've seen so many students that were assaulted or abused that were special needs students who are more vulnerable, who are more at risk. And that's another arena that the Enough Abuse campaign and presentation really addresses, is for kids that have special needs. What can you do as a parent or guardian? What are questions that you can ask? What are issues in the environment that your child is in that you can watch out for or question? And sometimes it's as simple as asking the question, is the door always open in the classroom, so that if somebody wanted to walk in, they could? That students are never in a one adult, one child situation, that there's always multiple adults with multiple children. Again, fairly simple, straightforward things that can make a huge difference. When kids are put in a position where there is one adult and one child child, that is the situation at which they are most at risk of being abused because they have no ally in another friend or another child. That adult has a tremendous amount of power and control over them. And ultimately, sexual assault, rape, sexual abuse is all about power and control. That's what it is. And when you have any kind of power differential like that, and particularly with special needs students who, because of physical or mental issues, may not have as much power and control as another child, they are really so much at risk of having something happen. And so just parents knowing and understanding things to look for, things to ask, things to watch for can really empower the parent to take an active role in protecting their child.
Danielle, that is such a good thing to mention because, yes, we have had some problems with people who should normally be trusted as part of schools, but the best defense, I would think, would be for parents to make sure their kids are well educated so that they know what the boundaries are and what their rights are and their value of themselves, so that if somebody tries to cross that line, they are well educated that they can say, no, that's not right. You can't do that. Hopefully preventing that situation.
Absolutely. And, most abusers don't immediately start with more overt abuse. There's generally a period, sometimes a very long period of a grooming process that happens first. And again, if you have that open dialogue and open communication with your child and you ask those questions, as soon as those boundaries start to be crossed, your child is much more likely to tell you at that point. Or if you ask, oh, I noticed you were in the classroom with just, Mr. Johnson today. Does that happen a lot? Kids have a very hard time reporting abuse, even when they have a very strong relationship with their parents. But if they can be educated, as you said, again, just have an open dialogue, good communication about anything that seems off, it can often get to it well in the early parts of that grooming stage before anything serious happens. But, put your kids in a situation where it returns the power and control to them because they know what's right and what's not right. And they know when somebody is crossing a boundary that they're not comfortable with. And if they let you know early on that a boundary's been crossed, you're much more likely to be able to stop something from happening than if kids don't have an understanding of that, or they don't have a vocabulary for it, or they haven't been empowered. Even simple things with teenagers, we hear a lot, they won't report abuse or assault till a long time after it happens, sometimes because, I was at a party and I was drinking and I was afraid my mom would be more upset with me for drinking than she would about what somebody did to me. So just reinforce to kids, tell them all the time, if anybody ever hurts you, I promise no matter what you were doing, I won't be upset with you. You need to tell me if anybody ever hurts you. Not threatening. If I ever find out somebody does this to you, I'm going to kill them. Kids believe what their parents say. And that is an extremely scary statement,
kill.
Right?
I heard kill.
Then they're going through, not only is this person that I may still care about, even though they did something bad or wrong to me, there's that factor. But then there's also the factor of what's going to happen to my parent. Are they going to go to jail? Are they going to be away? So, oh my gosh, my mom said, I don't like that guy from the beginning. If he ever touches you, I'll kill him. They may clam up and not say anything, sometimes to anybody, for a very long time. So again, just reassuring kids that their welfare, their well-being is always the most important thing to you and the thing that takes precedence over anything else.
That's so healthy. Plus, the one-on-one experience that we were talking about, even a school setting perhaps. If you step up and bring it to light, you could very well be helping other kids.
Absolutely.
Down the line, because that kind of person most likely is not going to just do it in this one instance. So you could be preventing all kinds of things down the line.
Absolutely. We see serial predators over and over again. One child does come forward to disclose something, and then 13 or 14 other kids come out of the woodwork and go, oh, I thought it was just me and I was afraid to say. But, when they see another child come forward, it empowers them. And going back to Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Denim Day, that's what the day is all about. Empowering survivors, letting people know who have experienced sexual assault, sexual abuse, rape. It is not your fault. This is not something you brought on yourself. And there are lots and lots of people, unfortunately, that have also experienced this. And the survivor community is very strong, very empowered, and very welcoming. And at the Rape Crisis Center, with our support groups, with counseling, with volunteer opportunities, there's so many things where people can make those connections and reclaim that power for themselves in a healthy way so that they can hopefully heal and move forward forward and have the best life they imagine for themselves.
And get rid of the stigma, which we were talking about in the beginning. Wasn't it an abuse situation that Lady Gaga was singing about here at the Thomas & Mack last fall? She was here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fabulous. I was 5 feet from her.
Once again, bringing to light that people have been affected by this in their past and that they should not be ashamed.
So many people, famous people, men, women, it's an issue that affects the LGBT community dramatically. No matter who you are, no matter when it happened, the Rape Crisis Center is here to support you. I can't tell you how many times we get calls on our hotline from somebody who's 45 years old and says, yeah, this happened to me when I was 12 and I never told anybody, or I told my mom, but she didn't believe me and so I never said anything again. And they've just been living with it and not getting help in dealing with it for all those years. And they see how it affects their relationships and their substance abuse issues and other things. And so that's really why our counseling center is so open to whomever needs that help, regardless of insurance or ability to pay. Thank goodness for grant funding. We are able to see people at any point after that assault or abuse so they can get the help that they need.
As you just mentioned, that person who may be 45 years old who calls in and says, this happened to me when I was 12 and it's messing with my relationships now and I've never gotten through it. You can help them with the healing. So whatever angle you've got, the Rape Crisis Center could play a role in your life.
Absolutely.
What's the full title for the month?
Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
That's a mouthful. Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We also want to be sure to mention Denim Day. Before we came in to do the show, we were talking about how I'm so blessed that I get to wear denim every day anyway in my job. I'm very lucky, but it brings back that story. You certainly are well more aware of it, but it had to do with a judge years ago. I want to say it was Italy. The girl had been raped, and the judge turned around and blamed it on her because she was wearing jeans.
Right. It was actually a rape conviction that was overturned at the Italian Supreme Court. Looked at this case. It was a young woman. I believe she was 16 at the time of the rape, and her driving instructor, who was an adult. And when the case came to the Supreme Court, they determined that she was wearing very tight jeans, and so she must have helped him take off her jeans, and therefore she consented. And in protest, the women of the Italian parliament the next day all wore jeans into the chamber as a show of solidarity with this young woman. So that was really the genesis for Denim Day, which is now an international movement to stand with survivors of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and let them know you are not alone. This is not your fault. And we are also going to take steps, all of us, everybody as a community, to stop this from happening to other people as well. So it's manyfold. It's conveying to survivors that they are not alone and that there are people who support and stand with them. And it's also everybody taking a role in stopping sexual violence from happening in whatever myriad ways they do that, whether it's talking to their own children, whether it's making sure that education programs come into their child's school, whether it's calling somebody out for sharing something inappropriate on social media, anything like that. There is literally something every single person can do.
Well, I know one of the things you've got coming up is the Denim Day Luncheon, which is just days away on Wednesday, April 26th. Our own Zenja Dunn.
Yes.
With Old School 105.7.
Yep, who just became one of our volunteers as well. Zenja just completed our volunteer training a couple months ago. We're super excited about that. So the Denim Day Luncheon is going to be at the Fashion Show Mall. On the runway, we have 20 survivors, volunteers, and media champions that we've identified who are going to be walking the runway in the Great Hall at Fashion Show. A great lunch catered by Kona Grill. It is our largest fundraising event of the year. I'm happy to report we are pretty much sold out. So if you didn't get a ticket already, you got to buy it earlier for next year. But we're so excited just because it does enable us to shine a spotlight. And then the other thing that we do with Denim Day is invite businesses in the community to allow their employees to wear jeans on that day. And if they'd like to make a donation to the Rape Crisis Center in exchange for wearing jeans, or the company wants to, make a matching gift to us or something like that in exchange for the number of employees that wear jeans, there's lots of different ways to get involved. Or forget the money part. It really is about raising awareness. So just allowing your employees to wear jeans on a Wednesday, nobody's going to get mad at that. Everybody's going to like it. And the other thing to keep in mind too is because sexual violence is so prevalent and it affects so many people, there are more than likely survivors in just about every every employer environment we have in our community. And you may be sending a message to an employee that you have that you don't even know has been affected by this. But the idea of their coworkers wearing jeans that day and supporting them, even if those coworkers don't know that ever happened, is such a powerful message to send. And the reality is, again, because of the stigma that you mentioned, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that they've been affected by sexual violence, but so many people have. And so it really sends a strong message, and maybe it emboldens that person to share their story, to get help, to reach out for support. There's no telling what that small act can do.
And that day for the Denim Day Luncheon for the Rape Crisis Center is coming up Wednesday, April 26th. I guarantee, Danielle, I will be wearing denim in support on that day. Actually, I was saying that a lot of times people would donate money and say, hey, I get to wear denim. That's great. But I need to probably step forward even more so and say I get to wear it every day, so I should give you more money for the cause.
We'll never say no.
I know you will. Wonderful cause. It's the Rape Crisis Center. Danielle, we always ask, what can we do to help you?
Always getting our hotline number and our website out there. Our hotline is 702-366-1640. Our website is RCC.lv.org. Both of those are available 24/7, 365. If you have questions, you need help, you need information, resources, there's links to other community resources on our website. And the other thing is, next time you're in a situation, it could be anything. Somebody makes an off-color joke in your presence, say something.
Call them on it.
Call them on it. Let them know, I don't think that's funny. That's not cool with me. It's small things that ultimately over time lead to big changes. And that's really what Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Denim Day is all about.
Raising our standards.
Yep.
As far as people getting involved, you were just saying Zenja Dunn from Old School 1057, not only helping to MC the Denim Day Luncheon on Wednesday the 26th, but also is now a volunteer for the Rape Crisis Center. You're constantly needing volunteers.
We always need volunteers, and you can apply through our website to be a volunteer anytime. We're now doing 3 volunteer trainings every year. It is a pretty involved volunteer process. It's a 50-hour training over the course of 5 weeks, so it's not for everybody, for sure, but if it's something that seems like the right thing for you, the good news is in our 24-hour town, our volunteer opportunities are a great fit because we're a 24-hour organization. So if you want to be on call from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. because that's your normal shift at a casino, and on your couple of days off, you have that time available because you're up anyway, we always appreciate that type of assistance. And we get great feedback about our volunteer training as well. People come out feeling like they've learned a lot, they've had a good experience. And again, because we are a 24-hour operation, we always need volunteers. It's not the easiest volunteer work in the world, so people do sometimes move on after a few months or a few years, but it's also extremely rewarding and people enjoy it. We do have quite a few survivors once they've kind of been through their own process and feel like they're in a good place to be able to help somebody else. But, sometimes it's people who just have a passion for this issue. Maybe they have a friend or family member who's been affected and they've wanted to give back. There's lots of opportunities if, working directly with survivors is not your thing. We do community events and other things that we always need volunteers for, help in our office. There's many different opportunities.
You know that we'll have the links, phone numbers, website, all of that on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our discussion today. Danielle, is there anything I've forgotten?
I don't think so. Just wear your jeans on April 26th.
No doubt that that's going to happen. 7 days a week I'm in jeans. This, however, top of mind for all of us who are so blessed as to be able to wear jeans. And other people who might get the chance because of Denim Day. We should take a moment and at least be aware and help raise awareness on the issue and help where we can. The Rape Crisis Center.
Our hotline is 702-366-1640. Our website is RCC.lv.org. Our counseling center is open to whomever needs help, regardless of insurance or ability to pay. Thank goodness for grant funding. We are able to see people at any point after that assault or abuse so they can get the help that they need.
The Rape Crisis Center could play a role in your life.
Absolutely.
Sexual
Assault Awareness Month.
That's a mouthful. Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Also Denim Day. Danielle Dreitzler, you are always full of great information, healing information, positive things. It's the Rape Crisis Center. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's time to lace up your running shoes for the 13th annual Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Las Vegas's Running for the House on Saturday, April 29th. This 5K run and 1 mile family fun walk is presented by McDonald's of Greater Las Vegas. Ronald McDonald himself will lead the warm-ups, and everyone receives striped socks to wear. Afterwards, runners and walkers can enjoy a pancake breakfast and kids' activity zones. Text RUN for Families to 51555 right now to register, or visit rmhlv.org.